Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Great Men Taking Over the World. I'm Ren, and today I'm going to be talking about the cult classic, ICO, originally on the PlayStation 2, then re-released in HD on the PlayStation 3. So how I got into ICO, me and my good buddy Sal, that was also in the review for Shadow of the Colossus, be sure to check that one out. It was in the early days of the PlayStation 2, maybe 2000, 2001. You could tell because ICO had the blue disc on it. We rented this at Hollywood Video. You know, it was pretty cool. Didn't get too into it. We might have played it for a night or two, didn't get too far. And then, you know, forgot about it. Then later on in 2007, when I played God of War 2, it kind of really got me into action-adventure games, so I wanted to see what else was on PS2, you know, play the Prince of Persia games, and then I remembered ICO, and I wanted to give this game a shot again, and I actually already played Shadow of the Colossus, so I wanted to see the prior game. Shadow of the Colossus is basically the, you know, spiritual sequel to ICO. Bought it off of Amazon, 16 bucks. And I actually did like it a lot more this time. I don't know if it was just because since it's been like, what, 6 years since I played it or so, it kind of allowed me to mature, and I was a lot more patient and a lot more into these more like puzzle-based games. So I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more. I started appreciating the atmosphere a lot more because that's like one of the main things that you'll notice about this game. It has this very like surreal, dreamlike atmosphere. The story is that it starts off with these soldiers bringing this young boy with horns to this fortress, and they basically just stuff him in a coffin and then just leave because basically the village that they're from, if anyone has horns, it's like a bad omen. So they bring all these boys to this, or whoever, like to this fortress. You'll notice all these other coffins that, you know, were some similar fate of other young boys or whatnot. Then there's like this earthquake, the kid falls out of and escapes from the coffin. And then from there, he's just kind of wandering around. He finds this other young girl in a cage. He rescues her, and she's just like this weird, like super mysterious looking like white girl. She's all white like an angel or something, I don't know. But yeah, and then it becomes the quest of the game where you and this girl Yorda, the boy's name is ICO. ICO and Yorda are trying to escape the castle, is essentially the story. You run into the queen of the castle, and she says that Yorda is her daughter, and that she wants to use Yorda as a means of resurrecting herself as she's getting old. She wants to transfer herself to Yorda's body. Yeah, what kind of mother is that? What a bitch.
So, I always thought that he was just wearing a hat. He's got actual horns.
Everyone always, even I thought that he was just wearing a hat, but yeah, he has actual
Did you think he was
horns.
just wearing a hat?
Yeah, I thought it was a hat.
Yeah, everyone thought this boy's just wearing a hat, right? But no, you can tell later on because he's like in a fight and they break and they bleed. Yeah, the soldiers have.
They all have hats with horns.
Yeah, the soldiers have horns, so why are they playing around with that? So then
they actually have horns too?
They apparently don't. They just have like, it's part of their helmets.
Right. So that's like confusing as hell.
Yeah, it's confusing, and those guys are hypocritical as fuck. Fumoto Ueda, he's the director of the game. He envisioned a boy meets girl type of adventure where essentially you're like, you know, holding hands with this girl throughout the whole game. The gameplay in this, it's a third-person action-adventure game. You're climbing, traversing, swinging off of chains, lighting torches, lighting bombs, pushing boxes, flipping switches, all that type of, you know, typical environmental puzzle type shit. It's essentially one big escort mission because you and the girl Yorda are kind of have to work together. More or less, you have to do everything for her. She's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. It's a very codependent gameplay mechanic, yes, exactly, because as you're trying to get to the end of the level or area, you always have to bring Yorda with you. She's the one who opens up these special doors throughout the game. Otherwise, it would have just left her useless ass behind a long time ago. She's not as agile as ICO. She can't climb pipes and chains and all that shit, so you always have to like move boxes, and you always have to like bend over and like hold your hand out to like have her reach for you and all that stuff, and you have to constantly call her over to you like Oompa, Oompa, Oompa. You'll be doing that over and over again, just hitting the call button, because you have to, it's either the call button, or if she's close enough, he'll just hold her hand. So he's just like, Oompa, Oompa, and it could get really annoying.
Oompa, Loompa, Doompa-dee-doo, I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa, Loompa, Doompa-dee-dee, if you are wise, you'll listen to me.
Her AI is kind of retarded. She'll get stuck on objects, on walls and stuff as you try to call her over or try to reach for her. And this could be really annoying if there are enemies trying to come at you. You know, you get pissed off at Yorda for like not listening to you, or the AI is all fucked up. So I'll just like always like grab her by the hand or pull like, get over here, bitch, and just, yeah, it's funny as hell sometimes. But she's a pain in the ass. God damn it, Yorda. Probably the worst thing in the game is watching her climb up and down ladders. It's like super painful. I don't even know why the hell they would put this in the game. It's like, dude, this is brutal. Even though this is a very minimalist game and there's not much in it, there's not much collecting. You get like a sword later on and this and that, but there's no like HUD, there's no life meter or energy or any of that stuff. It's very simple, very minimalist type of game. There are enemies in this game. Essentially, while you're trying to escort Yorda to other parts of the castle to escape, there's like these shadow creatures that emerge out of these black holes that try to go and capture her, and they'll like grab her and pull her into the black holes, and you have to like pull her out of there and kill all the shadow enemies to keep going, to progress and all that stuff, to get them out of your way. There's no bosses in this game except for the last boss against the Queen, which is interesting. It's very different from like Shadow of the Colossus, where the whole game is all bosses and no small enemies. So I thought that was interesting. The fighting gets pretty repetitive. It's the same thing over and over. You're just fighting those fucking shadow creatures and this and that. It's not that exciting. Yeah, so you die if you fall off the ledges, fall off the cliffs, but you won't die if you're in combat. The only way you'll die besides falling off is if Yorda is sucked in through the black hole and then like you turn to stone and die, I guess. So the presentation of this game is ICO's strongest point by far. As I mentioned, the HD remaster is remarkable. Seeing this game in 1080p is really beautiful. Seeing the castle fortress just light up with like this dreamlike glow all around it, and the shadows and all this type of stuff is really, really magical. Like, you really get the sense of like scale of the castle. There's like these awesome like pans and whatnot from the camera's perspective, because the camera is usually like a fixed perspective most of the game. And you just kind of see the scope of it. It's really cool, really epic. Feels like very lonely and isolated, so because the game is so minimalist, it sucks you right into that world. That's one of the things, like, you get immersed pretty easily in this. The castle looks amazing. There's like no music in the game besides like when you're in fights or towards the end, but most of the game is you just running around through the fortress and hearing like, you know, the echoes of like the wind and the waves of the ocean over there and the birds, which is nice and serene. I really enjoy that. It's very atmospheric, very moody, very artsy,
and
if you will.
Almost like you couldn't have a game like Shadow of Colossus without this as a step towards.
Yeah, as a stepping stone towards it, because you see a lot of similarities between the two in terms of the atmosphere, the minimalist style. There, even just the architecture, very similar to Shadow. The way that the narrative unfolds, like there's not much talking in the game at all. There's a couple bits here and there you'll see, like, you know, the characters talk, the Queen and Yorda speaking in some weird language that you can't understand. The animation's a really good key point, especially with Yorda as Ueda tried to, you know, really emphasize the boy meets girl type of adventure. Basically, like, come, you know, hold her by the hand the whole game. And it's just kind of a funny little animation of her like kind of wobbling her arm around and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. It's nice that they put this attention to detail, but I just thought it looked kind of funny how she's just kind of getting dragged and swayed around. It's fucking hilarious. Even something as subtle as like the save points in this game are like these magical couches that you sit on. You both have to sit on it, and it's fun just seeing the little animation of her like leg swinging. It's just like really subtle details I just thought were like really cool, really nice.
What rating would you give this game?
I would give this game a 7.5 out of 10. For me, my most favorite thing is just the atmosphere, the way the game sucks you in, and the attempt of like this cool minimalist style of gameplay. The environmental puzzles is fun, it keeps things interesting, but it does get repetitive with the fights. Yorda's AI can kind of piss you off sometimes, definitely. It's actually good that it's like a 5 to 6 hour game, otherwise it would probably get too repetitive. It's definitely a unique, original experience on its own. I definitely recommend it. Not the greatest game, but I do recommend it. Not for everybody, because you know it could really try people's patience who want really action-packed type shit. So this is a great game overall, but it's clearly a stepping stone to Ueda's next project, Shadow of the Colossus. So guys, thanks for joining me on another episode where I look back at this classic, dreamlike adventure. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and until next time, see you later. But it kind of hits a nerve on you. If you're receptive enough, it'll hit you on a certain nerve. Mm-hmm. You're just like oompa, oompa, and it could get really annoying.
Can you say that?
That sound retarded, so I ain't saying that bullshit. No.
Say it.
No.
$5?
No.
Damn, you won't even do it.
Come on,
for
man,
$5?
say it for $5.
No, leave me
$5.
alone.
You can't say it for $5. Oompa, oompa.
Oompa, loompa, doodly doo. Yeah, that's what it always makes you think of. Like, what is that, Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
Like
Oompa, loompa. Yeah, I don't even know, because her name is Yorda. Why is he saying oompa?
Doom-ba-dee-doo.